All right, so ready to dive in. Today, we're all about unlocking potential.
That's good.
We're looking at this audiobook transcript by Ethan Hope,
Okay.
and he seems to be, pretty gung-ho about mindset.
Oh.
But is it just hype, or is there something real here?
Well, the interesting thing about this audiobook is that it's not just a bunch of motivational fluff.
Right.
He lays out a very deliberate framework for personal transformation.
Okay.
And he starts with belief.
Yeah, I noticed that the first chapter is all about the power of belief.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like he's saying you can't do anything without it.
Exactly.
Like, hold up, before we even talk goals or habits,
Yeah.
you got to believe you can achieve something first.
And he backs it up, too. He talks about the placebo effect.
Oh, yeah.
How our brains actually search for evidence to support what we already believe.
Okay, so if our brains are looking for proof of what we already believe, then couldn't we be trapping ourselves with limiting beliefs?
Absolutely. That's a key takeaway here.
Mhm.
We need to reprogram our mindset.
Go.
Shift those limiting beliefs into empowering ones.
So you believe you can achieve great things, and your brain's going to start looking for ways to make it happen.
Precisely.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy for potential.
Right. But belief is just the starting point.
Okay.
From there, Hope introduces what he calls the 1% rule.
This 1% rule.
The idea is that small, consistent progress over time leads to huge results.
Yeah. He uses that example of getting 1% better every day for a year.
Right.
And by the end, you're exponentially better. But honestly, doesn't that seem kind of slow?
Well, that's where habit formation comes in.
Okay.
Hope says you don't need to make massive changes all at once.
Right.
It's about those tiny daily improvements that become automatic, like brushing your teeth.
So it's less about instant gratification and more about building a system for growth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But even with the 1% rule, you need direction.
Okay.
That's where setting clearer goals comes in.
And he's big on SMART goals, right?
Mhm.
Specific, measurables, achievable, all that.
Exactly. Turning those vague wishes into a concrete plan.
He also says write your goals down. Make
Mhm.
them tangible.
Yeah, and break those big goals down into smaller steps.
So it's not just about the big vision. It's about the daily actions that get you closer.
Absolutely. And then he brings in visualization.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine yourself achieving those goals, engaging all your senses.
He talks about creating a mental vision board, right?
Exactly, like you're programming your subconscious for success.
And he gives examples of athletes using visualization to improve performance.
Right. They mentally rehearse and their brains respond as if they're actually doing it.
That's wild. But okay, you've got the belief, the goals you're visualizing. What about when things go wrong?
Well, Hope dedicates a whole chapter to embracing failure.
Embracing failure.
He reframes failure as feedback, an essential part of learning.
He talks about Edison and Walt Disney, right? Those classic examples.
Exactly, they didn't let setbacks stop them.
But isn't there a danger in over-celebrating failure?
That's a good point.
Like, when does it become an excuse for not trying hard enough?
Hope acknowledges that there's a balance. It's not about romanticizing failure, but learning from it.
Okay, so it's about reframing your relationship with failure, not ignoring it.
Precisely. It's about extracting the lessons and moving forward.
This is starting to feel very practical and applicable.
And then he addresses focus.
Focus.
In a world full of distractions, how do we stay on track?
Chapter 6, right? Mastering the art of focus.
Yeah, he talks about those external distractions like social media,
Oh, yeah. Always a problem.
but also the internal distractions, the thoughts and doubts.
So it's not just about a distraction-free environment.
Yeah.
It's about your mind, too.
Exactly. He suggests setting priorities, time blocking, saying no to things that don't align with your goals.
And then, of course, discipline.
D word.
Chapter 7 is all about developing unshakable discipline.
He makes a distinction between motivation and discipline.
Okay.
Motivation comes and goes, but discipline keeps you moving even when you don't feel like it.
And isn't that the key? Because we're not always going to be motivated.
Right. He talks about the 5-second rule.
The 5-second rule.
Count down from 5 and take action before your brain can talk you out of it.
Oh, I've heard of that. It's like interrupting the negative thoughts.
Exactly. And he emphasizes building momentum through action.
So the more you do, the easier it gets to keep going.
Right. So far, we've got belief goals, embracing failure-focused discipline.
It's a whole toolkit for personal transformation.
And another key tool is reframing negative thoughts.
Chapter 8. We all have those negative thoughts. How does Hope suggest we handle them?
He's all about recognizing and challenging those thoughts. Ask yourself, is this thought really true? Is it helping me?
He also talks about focusing on solutions instead of problems, right?
Exactly. It's about becoming a creator, not a victim.
That's a powerful shift. So I've got belief goals, Failure, visualization, focus, discipline, reframing negative thoughts. What else?
He shifts the focus outward in chapter 9.
Outward.
He talks about your environment and the people you surround yourself with.
It's that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Idea.
Right. Understanding that excellence can be contagious.
So being around high achievers can lift you up.
Exactly. And on the flip side, he talks about toxic relationships.
Oh yeah, the energy vampires.
It's about recognizing who's lifting you up and who's holding you back.
So curate your social environment to support your growth.
Exactly. And then he brings it back to action in chapter 10.
More action.
But this time, it's about taking massive action.
He even mentions Grant Cardone's 10X rule.
Right. Setting goals 10 times bigger and taking 10 times the action.
That's intense. But isn't there a risk of burnout with that?
You're right. It's not about unsustainable hustle.
Okay.
It's about understanding that real growth often happens when we push ourselves.
So a mindset shift, more than a prescription for constant overdrive.
Right. Then he dives into gratitude.
Gratitude.
Chapter 11.
Yeah.
He sees gratitude as a key for success and resilience.
He talks a lot about gratitude throughout the book. It's like a superpower for him.
He connects it to neuroplasticity, rewiring our brains by focusing on positive emotions.
He mentions studies about gratitude increasing dopamine and serotonin.
Exactly. And when you're feeling grateful, it's hard to stay negative.
It's like what you focus on expands.
Exactly. If you focus on lack, you'll feel discouraged. Focus on gratitude, and it changes everything.
But he also says gratitude can attract more success.
Like the law of attraction.
Is that real or just wishful thinking?
I think it's about our energy attracting similar experiences. If you're grateful and optimistic, you're more likely to notice opportunities and take action.
So it's not mystical. It's about how a positive mindset opens you up.
Right. And it's not just about attracting good things. It's about resilience for the tough times.
He gives that example of losing a job, right?
Yeah. A grateful mindset helps you reframe it and see new opportunities.
Instead of dwelling on the loss, you appreciate the skills you gained.
Exactly. So gratitude helps you navigate challenges and bounce back.
We've covered a lot, but it feels like we're just scratching the surface.
It is a dense book, but that's what makes this deep dive so valuable.
And while it might seem overwhelming, I think the key is that it's not about doing everything at once.
Right. It's about small, consistent steps, building habits, and gradually transforming your mindset.
So as we move on, let's think about what's resonating with us.
What are the key takeaways?
And what actions can we take today to implement these insights?
Because ultimately, that's what unlocks potential.
It's not about listening. It's about taking action and creating the life you want.
And remember, you don't have to do it all at once. Just pick one small thing.
One small 1% improvement and start there.
Exactly.
That's a great place to pause for now. We'll be right back to explore more of Ethan Hope's framework in part 2 of this deep dive.
Welcome back. So before the break, we were talking about gratitude.
Yeah, how it can actually rewire our brains for positivity.
Right, and Hope takes it even further. He says gratitude can actually amplify our success.
Amplify success. How so?
Well, he says gratitude shifts our focus from lack to abundance, which can make us more receptive to opportunities.
Okay, so instead of dwelling on what we're missing, we're more attuned to what's already there.
Exactly. Like we're priming our brains to see abundance everywhere.
I can see how that would be a huge advantage.
Yeah.
You're not so worried about losing what you have.
Right. So you're more willing to take risks.
Makes sense. But gratitude's not just about attracting success, is it?
No. Hope also talks about how it builds resilience.
For those tough times, right?
Yeah.
He used that example of losing a job.
Exactly. Instead of spiraling into despair, a grateful mindset helps you reframe the situation.
See new opportunities emerging, right?
Shift your perspective from why me to what can I learn from this?
So gratitude becomes a tool for navigating those ups and downs.
And bouncing back stronger.
Which connects to adaptability, right? Chapter 12.
Yeah. Hope emphasizes that in today's world, clinging to rigid plans can backfire. It's about being open to new information and adjusting course.
Embracing change as an opportunity.
Exactly. He even says we need to let go of perfectionism.
Because striving for an ideal can actually hold us back.
It's about embracing the journey, imperfections and all.
And speaking of embracing the journey, Hope dedicates a whole chapter to celebrating the process.
Chapter 15. Celebrate the journey.
It seems like that theme runs throughout the entire book. Why do you think that is?
I think he recognizes that if we're only focused on the destination, we'll miss the beauty of the journey itself.
It's like that saying, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. But how often do we actually live that way?
Right. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and forget to appreciate the progress we're making.
So Hope's encouraging us to shift from destination-based success to journey-based fulfillment.
Finding joy in the process, the challenges, the small wins,
So it's not just about achieving the big goals, it's about how we show up every day,
and how we navigate the challenges.
how we celebrate those small victories along the way.
And sometimes those detours lead us to even better destinations than we planned.
That's true. We get so attached to a specific outcome that we miss those serendipitous opportunities.
Right, and I think that ties back to adaptability and resilience.
Being flexible and strong enough to bounce back.
It's about having the mindset and the tools to navigate the journey.
And then there's self-reflection,
Chapter 14, creating a space for reflection.
whether it's journaling or just taking a few moments to pause.
Right, and asking those powerful questions.
What went well today? What could I have done differently?
It helps us move beyond just replaying events.
We analyze our actions, identify patterns, and learn from them.
It's like turning everyday experiences into opportunities for growth.
And I think that's what makes Hope's framework so empowering.
It's not just about what to do, it's about becoming our own best coaches.
But we don't have to do it alone, right?
No. Hope also talks about surrounding ourselves with a supportive community,
The people who inspire and challenge us,
recognizing who adds value to our lives.
and who might be holding us back.
And then there's taking massive action,
Pursuing those big goals.
and also remembering balance and self-care.
Celebrating the small wins.
Finding that balance between pushing ourselves and honoring our need for rest.
I think that's what I appreciate most about Hope's approach.
It's not just about external success, it's about a holistic approach to life.
Mind, emotion, physical well-being.
Creating a life that's successful, sustainable, joyful,
And meaningful.
and we don't have to do it all at once.
Right. It's about starting small
Picking one thing that resonates with you.
and incorporating it into your life.
Maybe it's gratitude, self-reflection,
Yeah.
a small step towards a goal.
Those small, consistent actions create momentum.
Exactly.
Okay, so as we head into the final part of our deep dive, what are those small actions you can take today?
What resonates most deeply with you?
And how can you start incorporating it into your life right now? So we've been exploring this framework for unlocking potential.
Yeah.
And I'm struck by how everything connects. It's not just random tips. It's like a whole system.
Like a blueprint for a fulfilling and resilient life.
Exactly. And I keep coming back to mindset. It's not just about goals and actions.
It's those inner qualities, too.
Belief, resilience,
Those
adaptability.
are the foundation.
Which brings us back to self-reflection.
Yeah.
That tool for assessing and refining our mindset,
Becoming more self-aware.
understanding our strengths and weaknesses,
And he gives us practical strategies.
like creating a dedicated space for reflection.
Journaling or finding a quiet corner.
And those questions, he suggests, what went well today? What challenges did I face?
They make you think deeper.
Analyze your actions and learn from them.
It's like turning everyday life into a learning opportunity.
That's what makes this framework so empowering.
You become your own coach.
And we don't have to do it alone.
Right. He talks about the importance of community.
People who inspire and challenge us.
But also setting boundaries against toxic relationships.
Recognizing who's truly adding value.
And then there's taking massive action.
Going for those big goals.
They're also remembering balance.
Self-care, celebrating the small wins.
Finding that balance between pushing yourself and taking care of yourself.
That's what I appreciate.
Yeah.
It's a holistic approach.
Mind, emotion, body.
It's not just about success. It's about a fulfilling and meaningful life.
And it all starts with small steps.
Pick one thing that resonates with you.
Maybe a gratitude practice, some self-reflection, a step towards a goal.
Those small actions add up.
They create real change.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, think about what you're taking away from this.
What are you going to do differently?
How are you going to unlock your potential?
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing.